The Oklahoma City Thunder have 32 draft picks through 2031. That's not a typo. 32 picks, including 15 in the first round. This stockpile of assets is unprecedented in NBA history and quite daunting if you throw in the small fact that the Thunder also happen to be 44-10 at the All-Star break. That's a nice mix of present and future. How did they acquire so many picks? And more importantly, how are they using them to dominate the league right now? And what's next beyond this year? We're about to show you the genius behind OKC's rise and why other teams should be worried about OKC, as if they're not already. The Oklahoma City Thunder's journey from playoff contenders to rebuilding underdogs is a fascinating tale of calculated risk, knowing when to move on, and long-term vision. In 2019, the Thunder traded away stars Paul George and Russell Westbrook, signaling the end of the Westbrook era and the beginning of a massive rebuild. It ended up starting in earnest a year later as Chris Paul, a throw-in for cap reasons in the Westbrook trade to Houston, defied time and started a second career, leading the Thunder to the playoffs as a 5 seed. But by the following season, Paul was in Phoenix for their rise, and the Thunder began life at the bottom. This decision to overhaul wasn't taken lightly. The Thunder have been a perennial playoff team with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, though they only made one finals in James Harden's 3rd season with the team. How long ago does that feel? Harden was in year 3 and made his first All-Star team as a 6th man. Meanwhile, that Thunder team, the only one they'd send to the finals, would face a Miami Heat that had just brought in LeBron James and Chris Bosh to run with D. Wade. After a disappointment against Dallas the year before, they took the Thunder down in 5 games for their first title with that group. It feels like an awfully long time ago now that you mention it. Since then, we've seen LeBron win championships with 2 other teams, the Cavs and the Lakers, and Luka Doncic has been drafted, become a superstar, and traded to the LeBron James Lakers. It helps that LeBron is still a star at 40 to extend this timeline, but we digress. Presti's clear vision for the future of the franchise prioritized long-term success over short-term gains. His strategy? Accumulate as many draft picks as possible and focus on developing young talent. Billy Donovan, their coach for many of their glory years, agreed to mutually part ways, and Presti chose 33-year-old Mark Daigneault as their new head coach. Daigneault had a great 5-year run with the Thunder's G League team, but he was the 2nd youngest coach in the NBA, so it was a gutsy call. And the right one, as Daigneault showed quickly he could coach young talent and instill hustle and defense as a centerpiece of rebuilding the Thunder. Championship potential isn't just about offense in the NBA. The Thunder's young guns have mastered a crucial element that's elevating them from good to great. How did a team barely old enough to rent a car become one of the league's defensive juggernauts? Conventional wisdom suggests that young teams struggle on the defensive end. It takes time to develop chemistry, learn complex schemes, and build the physical strength needed to compete against seasoned NBA veterans. But the Oklahoma City Thunder are tearing up that playbook, proving that youth and defensive excellence can go hand in hand. Currently sitting at 2nd in defensive efficiency, the Thunder have shocked the league with their ability to lock down opponents. This isn't just a fluke or a short-term hot streak. It's a testament to the team's commitment to defense and the brilliant mind of Daigneault. Daigneault has implemented a defensive system that is as flexible as it is effective. The Thunder can adapt their strategies on the fly, keeping opponents guessing and frustrated. This versatility allows them to play with various lineups, including all-wing configurations that can switch seamlessly across multiple positions. Speaking of switching, that's become a hallmark of the Thunder's defensive identity. Their ability to guard multiple positions effectively has made scoring against them a nightmare for opposing teams. One coach, clearly impressed, noted the difficulty of putting points on the board against OKC, praising their ability to align in various ways. But it's not just about schemes and strategies. Their combination of length, athleticism, and basketball IQ allows them to contest shots, clog passing lanes, and recover quickly when beaten off the dribble. This versatility extends from the perimeter to the paint, with the Thunder excelling in both areas. The numbers back up the eye test. The Thunder's defensive statistics are impressive across the board. They're not just good at one aspect of defense, they're strong in multiple categories. From steals and blocks to opponent field goal percentage, the Thunder are making their mark. This well-rounded approach makes them a formidable opponent night in and night out. What's particularly impressive is how the Thunder's defense fuels their offense. By getting stops and forcing turnovers, they're able to get out in transition and create easy scoring opportunities. This symbiotic relationship between defense and offense has been a key factor in their success this season. Once consistently in the mix for championship contention, the Thunder behind Sam Presti, their longtime general manager and drafter of Durant, Westbrook, Harden, and Serge Ibaka, opted to dismantle a successful roster. This is always a gamble, but Westbrook's age and contract led to this seemingly drastic move. With other talent in the front office, it might not have played out like it did, but behind it was mastermind Sam Presti. His mega hit, interestingly, turned out to be a player in one of the deals, rather than a pick. That player being the current NBA leader in scoring average, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Alexander arrived in OKC with 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps for George, an all-star still in his prime. And while the fanfare was on the Clippers at that point, 4 years later the deal is staggeringly great for the Thunder. And of the picks, well, 3 years ago, one of them fell in at number 11, and Presti chose to draft Jalenwilliams, a combo guard out of Santa Clara. Nice move, and the trade effectively set the Thunder up for everything else with a pair of two-way stars that could run the point, play either wing as a scorer, and play defense. As SGA and Jalenwilliams began to emerge as potential cornerstones of the franchise, the Thunder became the tax shelter for contenders or anyone else that wanted to dump salary and was willing to trade future ones. See the Heat and 76ers, each of whom owe the Thunder a one that will transmit this year or next, depending on the protections. For the Sixers, in the middle of a nightmare season, it's top 6, and it would appear they're looking to tank the night away, which would push their pick to next year and a top 4 protection. The Heat have a top 16 protection, but just traded Jimmy Butler, so it appears their pick too will be transmitted next year. Only next year it's unprotected, so you can bet the Thunder will occasionally be checking the standings to see how the Heat are moving along. As they're contending and, to some, the West favorite this year, the Thunder have to be thrilled with where they've ended up thus far. But with success comes paying people. 2 contracts the Thunder have to take care of after this season are Jalenwilliams, who will almost certainly get a max deal, and Chet Holmgren, who also will most likely get a max deal, despite his injury last year. Holmgren back in the lineup gives them 2 legit big men as he teams with Presti's first major free agent acquisition, Isaiah Hartenstein, who has been everything they've hoped at center. Hartenstein has helped anchor the defense and could be called the missing piece that has elevated OKC from good to great. He also gives them a big in case Holmgren misses time, which happened this year. Together, along with a fleet of 3-and-D wings like Lou Dort and Aaron Wiggins, 2 more shrewd Presti pickups, the Thunder are deep and can shift pieces around in case of injury. Tack on Caruso and Cason Wallace, their first rounder 2 years ago, and the Thunder has a squadron on defense to throw at any position. The question will be, do the Thunder have the experience after last year's solid run to make it to the conference finals and beyond? If they do, it'll likely run through LA, where they have LeBron and Doncic figuring things out right now, and Denver, which is on an 8-game win streak and looking dangerous. In those big series, the stars usually decide it, and SGA and Jalenwilliams will need Chet Holmgren or someone we're not thinking of to be their third scorer to win against the Nuggets and Lakers stars. The biggest issue for the future seems to be how to pay all of these guys. SGA has a $35 million a year deal that will expire in 2 years, and he's up for a 4-year, $300 million max deal this offseason to replace it. Meanwhile, he'll be scheduled to make around $80 million at the end of his age 32 season. That's a serious contract. Hartenstein just got 3 years at $30 million a year, which tells you Presti is already keeping things staggered in terms of contract lengths. If Williams and Holmgren sign extensions at around $35 million a year each, that's 4 players averaging $40 million a year each in just 2 years from now. Throw in Alex Caruso's $20 million a year 4-year extension that kicks in after this season, and you have a lot of people to pay. But will ownership be willing to pay the luxury tax to keep it together? We'll see what happens. Is there a package in the future to move salary? Or trade up with the pick stash and their depth for a top 5 pick perhaps? We didn't even mention they took 6'6" shooting guard Nikola Topic in last year's draft. He would have been top 5 if healthy, and after redshirting this year, he'll be another rotation option next year. Where will his minutes come from? Another good question. Lots of problems to have, and you can bet 25 or more teams around the NBA would love to have them. But, as we know, the Thunder aren't just stockpiling young talent for a far-off future. They're winning games now. Just ask the Western Conference. Their current record has them sitting pretty as the leader, 8 games ahead of Denver and Memphis, a remarkable turnaround for a team in full rebuild mode a few seasons ago. Expert analysis suggests that the Thunder's combination of young talent and future draft picks positions them as a potential powerhouse in the NBA for years to come, a fact that must have rival general managers shaking their heads in disbelief. It's an impressive haul and a very bright outlook. The Oklahoma City Thunder's rapid ascension in the NBA has been nothing short of remarkable. Their success stems from a perfect storm of smart drafting, exceptional player development, and suffocating defense that's become the envy of the league. And we'll keep an eye on what looks to be a second straight year with a #1 seed in the Western Conference playoffs. If you like, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.